It's this thing on, and welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome back to Big Mouth. I'm Mick Meanish. You can follow me at Twitter to continue the conversation at Movies TV Mad. James Bond, one of the greatest movie franchises. Forget about the box office, forget about everything else. It's just a great franchise that we've all grown up with. But now, something deep and dark is happening to this franchise. It's being taken over by people who have wanted to take it over and reshape it for a very long time. Unfortunately, it's people who don't care about the quality, the history, or what this character means to us. SJWs, feminists, hate James Bond, have always hated James Bond. And now Phoebe Waller-Bridge has got her grubby little hands on it. So let's talk about this. Before I talk about Danny Boyle and the information that's been given to me, remember we must take all of this with a pinch of salt. But yes, Phoebe Waller-Bridge was officially brought on to Bond 25 to tidy up the script, to add some pieces of humour. That's a lie. Phoebe Waller-Bridge was brought onto Bond 25 to rewrite the whole picture. That's the truth. Now, let me be clear here. Nothing happened without Daniel Craig's say-so. Because during the marketing push for Spectre, you remember what he said? I'd rather cut my wrists open and make another Bond movie. He's been very difficult, threatening to leave constantly, and Barbara Broccoli is obsessed with him and wants to keep him. In fact, when they met up to promote this film, the filming for Bond 25, she said, we're trying to persuade him to do yet another one. Very interesting. So basically, whatever Daniel wants, Daniel gets. Now, Daniel Craig wanted Danny Boyle to direct the Bond movie. Wow, Danny Boyle. The guy is an iconic, legendary director. And oh boy, if you knew what he had planned for this picture, you'd be devastated that he left. But everyone was getting on. He came on board. And then all of a sudden, he left. Now, I'm sure you asked yourself the same question. What kind of creative differences when Daniel Craig agreed to Danny coming on board? Barbara Broccoli was delighted. What creative differences could lead to this great director leaving? This was the opportunity of a lifetime for Danny. He's got that movie, an iconic franchise. Why would he just walk away? Because Phoebe Waller-Bridge was brought on board. That's the truth. And it became very clear to Danny very quickly from the information I've got. And I'll read some of it out to you in a minute. Not all of it, because some of it I don't want to say. I don't want to get myself in trouble, just in case it isn't true. I believe most of it is true. And I've suspected as much. So basically, Waller-Bridge was going to rewrite the whole film. Danny Boyle didn't want that. He didn't like the direction she was going. In the end, his vision for Bond 25 was up in smoke, including the title they've got now wasn't the title that he wanted. So let's look at my phone. So this is some of the stuff that I've got here. That Phoebe Waller-Bridge became very, very difficult with Danny Boyle. He wanted to take the picture to a more darker, more violent, and more Kiefer Sutherland 24, if you like, very, very violent, very bloody, a lot more people dying. Danny Boyle was looking to kind of limit the old Bond girl as well, so something that feminists would have been happy with, and he wanted to continue with the female from the previous film Spectre, which they were doing anyway, right? But it was a very, very deeper, darker story, and in fact, this film was going to begin an arc for James Bond. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge came in. She didn't like the idea. She wanted a standalone final movie for Daniel, because that's what he's saying this Bond 25 is, his final movie, even though Barbara Broccoli claims they are still trying to change his mind, and we'll see what happens there. He's getting his own way. So it was Daniel Craig's idea to bring in Phoebe Waller-Bridge. That's something that obviously Danny Boyle knew spelled trouble. Ultimately, in the end, Daniel Craig would have much rather kept Phoebe Waller-Bridge than Danny Boyle, and that's where it all went wrong. Danny Boyle, of course, signed one of those agreements where he can't say very much, but Danny Boyle knows, and I know he left because of Phoebe Waller-Bridge's involvement. But why did Daniel Craig all of a sudden want Phoebe Waller-Bridge on a Bond film? Why? Why is she rewriting this film? Why has she rewritten this film, right? We know whose idea it was to have a female 007. We know what stuff she's going to attempt to pull in this movie. This is going to come from the annuals of the feminists, right? So how do I feel about that as a Bond fan? Now, of course, feminists and SJWs and far left extremists will tell you I'm just another man with a Willy Wonka complaining because my world is being invaded by women. Do you know what? Someone I don't like on Twitter, someone very famous, said something very interesting, right? And she said, why can't we create iconic, brand new female characters? Why do females have to come in and replace men? And this is a very, very interesting point from someone whose politics I don't agree with. I really don't. I think she's a horrible person, but she made a really good point. And ultimately, this is a woman saying it as well. How many more times are we going to have women replacing men? Is this representation? Is this equality? Or, as I've said to you guys before, is this revenge? I think it's revenge. They are going to destroy James Bond. But you know what the beautiful thing is, boys and girls, and you in between, right? You know what the great thing is about all of this? We have stacks and stacks of Bond films to watch. Even the other superior Daniel Craig movies, right? Casino Royale is in my top 5 of all time Bond movies, right? No question about that. Like GoldenEye, License to Kill is in there. That's not a very popular film amongst Bond fans, but I think that really set what they did with Craig's Bond. Now, what Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson did by bringing Daniel Craig in, especially initially, was brilliant. They gave us this. He was the Bond from the novels. He was hard ass, when he was running at the camera, you were intimidated. That's what Ian Fleming's Bond was. It was amazing. And I thought we were going to have a great bunch of films. And the truth is, we've only had 2 out of, is it 4 movies now? I can't remember. Right, so it's Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace. It's called, what's the other one called? Skyfall. Yeah, and so we've had 4 films, and we've had 2 good ones and 2 very average ones. Not good enough. You made 2 really good Bond films. Why couldn't you make more? But anyway, we know that these writers that have been involved for many, many years, even in the Pierce Brosnan era, which I thought they did a great job with, I think they should have been moved on. But bringing in Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, of course, is kind of worked on her own crime TV show. We know that. We know she's good at what she does. Could this end up being a really good film? And am I concerned over nothing? If Phoebe Waller-Bridge came in to make an epic Bond film, I'd feel really comfortable. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge hasn't come in to do Bond, to make a great piece of content. She's come in to make a statement. So I'm at the stage right now, and that my mind could change once I see the trailer next year, that I don't want to see this film. And anyone who's not happy with the goings-on, with Danny Boyle being driven out of this movie, don't watch it. That's the best thing. I'm not here to complain or rant and rave. Like you, I have no power. Now, as the consumer, I should have more power. If I don't want to see something, I shouldn't see it. Or I can say to the people making the film, I'm not going to spend this money, and a lot of other people ain't going to spend this money. The thing is, they're going to make a film that turns off the Bond fans. Now, I'm sorry, but a huge percentage of Bond fans are men. And they are men in their 40s, right? Maybe a few young lads watch it as well. But mostly it's us who grew up with Bond. We're the ones putting the coffers. Now, we know that SJWs don't watch films, right? We know that. They'll support it on social media platforms. But ultimately, these are not the people who are going to make money for you. But still, you're trying to destroy a franchise and give them something that they want. And ultimately, what's going to happen? That this film could be one of the lowest grossing Bond films because you're literally driving away the consumer who's been supporting this franchise, for 30, 40 years? God knows how many years, right? And I thought I'd do a video and explain the information that I have got, and that Danny Boyle left because of Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Because at the time when I heard, I was shocked, because I just thought they got the perfect director, someone who's really going to make a very interesting statement with this film, and he left. I was excited when he was involved. When he wasn't, I started to hear a lot of rumblings. And the truth of the matter is that this production is a mess. An absolute mess. Now, whatever marketing ploy they try, whatever they try and pull here, make no mistake, this is an absolute mess that can only end one way. In the James Bond franchise, dying a very slow and painful death, right? And this is the situation. And it will be interesting once we see the trailer. Then we will really have an interesting take on this movie. They'll have to show us the female 007. If they hide her, then you know there's an even bigger problem than we ever thought. What do you think about all of this? Please comment down below. Please like, share and subscribe, and hit the notification button. I'll be back later.